So, welcome to the live stream from Click and Learn software. I am, as it says on the screen, Bob Reynolds, and I really truly care about geography knowledge. And if you are a geography teacher, you should be able to do all of the things I'm going to show you in a few minutes. But if you are new to being a geography teacher, for example, you teach some other subject and they say we need somebody and you've got the hour free for that class and they appoint you as the geography teacher. Personally, I think you have a big responsibility because I believe that geography knowledge is extremely important. And I'm not looking down on anybody that doesn't know, especially any teachers that cannot find Argentina, Bangladesh, Bosnia, British Columbia on a blank map of the world. I'm not criticizing you because when I was growing up, we did not know how to teach geography, and we spent the whole semester teaching USJ geography, and we spent the next semester teaching world geography. And at the end of the school year, when we had the big major high stakes testing, we all would have flunked had there not been big maps of the world and big maps of the United States on the walls in the classroom. And I'll tell you something else. It was difficult in those years to learn geography because of the way they taught geography. But with our system, you as a teacher can learn the names and locations of all countries of South America in 24 minutes. You can learn the names of the locations of all 50 states in one evening. And you can learn the continents and oceans, which I believe every third grader and up should know, and you should teach them. You can learn that in less than a half an hour. But I'm going to show you some specific, first of all, I'm going to tell you some really astounding things that I have seen as someone that goes around trying to promote geography. I was in I'm not going to tell you what state I was in, but I was in a state that had less than 20 counties. And it was studies a geography conference. And the head of the Geography Alliance for that state was telling all of the teachers, geography teachers, that we're going to have a presentation on something about, I don't know if it was having to do with dog breeds or where they originated or butterfly migrations, how they got from Canada to Mexico. And as this teacher was talking, she also mentioned something about the counties of the state I was in. And she was talking about something that happened in one of the counties. And she said, in case you don't know where this county is located, it is. And she talked about what part of the state it was in. And I'm thinking to myself, am I really listening to this? Am I really in a room where the Geography Alliance coordinator has to stop and say to the teacher, geography teachers, if you don't know where this county is at, this is where it's at. And I'm thinking, these are geography teachers. If they don't know where that's at, they should not be geography teachers. I'm serious. I am serious. I'll tell you a couple more stories. I was in a university in the Midwest. Again, I'm not going to tell you what states, but I was given a presentation to a classroom of about 31 freshman geography majors at this university. And we passed out, before we started, I passed out a blank map of this to all of the geography majors in college and had them simply write an A on Argentina, a B on Brazil, a C on Chile, and so forth. 31 students. And they scored an average of 21%. I'm thinking, how can you pick a major? And so if I'm going to be a math major, at least I'm going to have to know how to multiply and divide, long division, before I decide I want to be a math teacher or professor. So these kids, 31 of them, nice kids, of course, because I believe geography is really important. I was glad to see that so many people were signing up to be geography majors and teach. I assume to teach geography, but they only scored 21% on their blank map of the continent of South America. I tell you what the results were. I gave a presentation showing them how the software worked, our software, which I'll show you in a minute. And after the presentation, they all had their Chromebooks and their laptops and their iPads and all this stuff. They all had that, and they all had their own desk where they could sit and work. I showed them how the software worked. I told them go to clickandlearn.fun, and I showed them what game to play. And it was such an enjoyable day, and I enjoyed talking about geography to all these kids. And but we were running out of time, and the professor said we've only got 25 more minutes left. So I gave the assignment to these students, and I gave them, I think it was 15 minutes was all they took. They spent 15 minutes playing the game that I'd showed them and that I'm going to show you in a few minutes. And after that 15 minutes, I gave them another blank map of South America for them to write an A in Argentina, B for Bolivia, B for Brazil, C for Chile, and so forth. And you know what those students' scores went to after just 15 minutes? Seriously, all 31 of those students scored 100% on the maps, except one student forgot to put down the Falkland Islands. It's tiny, he missed it. But it was incredible what those students could do after 15 minutes, because when I was in school, it took full school year to try and teach geography, and we all would have flunked. And if it wasn't for the maps on the wall in the classroom, we would have all flunked. But with our software, which I'm going to show you in a couple of minutes, it doesn't take a full semester to teach geography. In 24 minutes, your students, you as a teacher, whether you're the basketball coach, whether you're the driver's ed teacher, whether you're a substitute teacher, and specifically, if you want to be a substitute teacher and you can go into any school for any topic and teach them something productive and something worthwhile. Seriously, with this system, with these games that I'm going to show you, you can be the best substitute teacher, being called back over and over and over again whenever anybody is sick, because you can bring your students in and you can show them what I'm going to show you in a few minutes. Here's another thing. Besides just knowing, well, I tell you what, here's another thing. Back in 1984, when personal computers first came out, they were big things still, before laptops. I wanted to learn about personal computers. So I signed up for this class at the local Votech in the city that I lived in. And this teacher was terrible. The teacher was terrible. So I went back to one of my cubicle buddies in the department where I worked. And I told him, I said, I signed up for this class. The teacher is terrible. And this guy looked at me. He said, if you think you can do a better job, you go apply, because they're looking for teachers over there. And I went in and applied. And I got the job. In the evenings at the Votech, I taught Tuesday and Thursdays to adults who wanted to learn how to use personal computers. And I did not know anything. But I signed up to teach Lotus 1-2-3, Multimate, PC file, PC data, PC data, PC file, and PC write, and also DOS, Microsoft DOS. I signed up to teach all of those, and I didn't know how to use any of those. But during the week before the class was started, whatever the topic was, I would spend some time learning how to teach DOS. And then I learned how to teach Multimate, PC file, PC write, PC data. Those were tremendously good programs in the early age of computers before all of the, and Lotus 1-2-3, Lotus is still incredible. And with just a short amount of time learning, I went in and taught those students, these adult students, all of these things. And my point is, with our system, when they tell you that when you decide you want to teach countries of South America, it takes one evening to prepare. And you can go in and stun your students. I'm going to show you what you can do. First of all, I tell you what, let's get right into it. I'm going to get into and show you how to be the best geography teacher, or be a good geography teacher. Because if you can't do this with your students, you should not be a geography teacher. I'm serious. So let's say we go to, I'm going to show you. We're going to go to, and these games are free. The games I'm going to show you are free to geography teachers, or anybody actually that cares about geography. Excuse me. I go to clickandlearn.fun. That's clickandlearn.fun. That's the website I'm at. I go to clickandlearn.fun and I tap the enter key, and it brings me to this page. And at the top row, there's a bunch of thumbnails. The fifth one over says free geography games. Click that, and you'll see a list of, I think we have 12 games. I'm going to scroll to the right. We have 12 games in that set of free geography games, everything from continents and oceans, countries of South America, the 50 states, Central America, Africa, Europe, Southeast Asia, the Middle East. And I believe every geography teacher should know the names and locations of those countries. We also have games for provinces of Canada, 31 states of Mexico, island countries of the Caribbean, and island countries of the South Pacific. I'm going to scroll back over to there, and you can follow along. If you're following along, if you're watching this video, you can go to clickandlearn.fun, and you can start over, and you can click this thumbnail that says free geography games, and then you can click this thumbnail for South America. And we have 3 modes in this system. The learn mode, which takes me about 10 minutes to show you how to learn all the countries of South America. But we also have the review mode, and we have the test mode. I'm going to click single player. What we have, I'm going to turn off the volume. And what we have on the screen is a setup where you have all the questions, all the countries of South America. I'm going to click the go button. We have 14 buttons on the screen. We present the questions in random order, and you should be able to score 100% simply by looking at the question and clicking the correct answer. It asks for Argentina. I click the button for Argentina. If I get it right, I get a green light. Let me show you that again. The question asks for Colombia. And I click the correct button. I get a green light. Did you notice that? It asks for Paraguay, a green light. There are only 14 buttons on the screen, and it takes 14 seconds for me to click all of these buttons. And when you do that in your classroom on a projection screen or whatever, and show your students that you can do it. Let's finish this. Chile, Peru. Look at the question at the top and see if I click the correct button. Falkland Islands, Guyana. This is French Guiana. This is Guyana. It asks for Ecuador. This is Ecuador. I get a green light. French Guiana, I get a green light. Bolivia, green light. Brazil, green light. I've answered 11 of the 14 so far. Suriname, a green light. Venezuela, a green light. I've answered 13. The last one is Uruguay, and I got 100%. You, as a geography teacher, should be able to do that. You should be able to play that game in test mode and show your students that you can do it. I'm going to do that again in a minute, but there's two other things. There are two other things that you should be able to do. You should be able to take this map and put an A on Argentina, B on Brazil, and C on Chile, E on Ecuador, F on Falkland Islands, so forth, and get 100%. You should also be able to take a stopwatch and show your students that you can recite all the names and locations of the countries of South America in 14 seconds. Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Falkland Islands, French Guiana, Guyana, Paraguay, Peru, Suriname, Uruguay, and Venezuela. That took 10 seconds. The goal is 14 seconds. Notice as I was reciting with my eyes closed, notice I was pointing on the map, in my mental map, where those are located. Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Falkland Islands, French Guiana, Guyana, Paraguay, Peru, Suriname, Uruguay, Venezuela. You, as a geography teacher, should be able to do that. With our system, you can do that in 24 minutes. You can learn to do that in 24 minutes. First of all, play the game and be able to beat the clock. Play the game yourself. If I'm 79 years old. If I can do this, you, as a teacher, can do this. I'll tell you something else. If I can do this at 79 years old, your students can do it faster and better. The only requirements are, the only prerequisite is you should, and your students should be able to recite the alphabet in 5 seconds. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. That might sound simple, but there's an important reason for that. We present the information in alphabetical order. Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil. So that when all of your students have played our game, which I'm going to show you again in a minute, when they have all played the game, your students should be able to, at the beginning of class, take 15 seconds and have the students recite in unison. All the students recite in unison. You show them you can do it. Challenge them to do the same. And first of all, they will be impressed with you, and you will be impressed with them, and their parents will be impressed with you also. Because seriously, if you're a geography teacher and don't know countries of the world, you should do one of two things. Sign up for our software. The games I'm showing you right now are free for the end of 2026. You can get in and you can learn all this stuff. I'm going to have about 5 of these videos about what you as a geography teacher should be able to do. 5 of these live stream videos. Okay, I'm going to get back into that again, and I'm going to show you how I did that. No, I tell you what. Yeah, I will. Okay, we're going to go right into South America again. Okay, let me exit from that. Let me collapse this. Let me start over. We go to clickandlearn.fun. Clickandlearn.fun. You do not have to be signed up for these free games. I am not signed in. I'm just on some laptop somewhere with Wi-Fi access. That's all you need. Go to clickandlearn.fun and click this thumbnail that says free geography games. And then click this button, this thumbnail that says for South America. We're going to start in learn mode. I'm going to show you how to do that quickly. I click single player. The sound is turned off. Okay, I did say, here's the other thing. I did tell you there's only one prerequisite, and that is that you be able to recite the alphabet in 5 seconds. Let me get into that and show you what we're really talking about. And I'm going to, actually I had that covered up for a minute. I'm going to start over. I'm going to go to clickandlearn.fun. I'm going to click this thumbnail that says free geography state games. I click there. I click the game that says South America games, or whatever it says, South America countries. I'm in learn mode. I'm going to click single player. There are going to be 7 questions on the screen. That's another magic number. 7 items at a time. If you're learning the 50 states, you don't want to see all 50 buttons on the screen and ask them to find Colorado or Wyoming or Kansas or Vermont or Connecticut. With 7 buttons on the screen, your students can do this. I'm going to click the go button. Here are the 7 buttons. I'm not going to tell you what countries they are. I'm just going to tell you that one of them is Argentina. It asks you to find Argentina. Watch what happens when I click the correct button. When I click the correct button for Argentina, I click it. I get a green light. The button disappears. The question changes to Bolivia. We are racing the clock. We only had 10 seconds to identify the first 7 states. It asks for Bolivia. Watch what happens when I click Bolivia. I get a green light. I'm still racing the clock. Watch what happens if I wait 5 seconds since the last correct question. The show me button appears. It asks for Brazil. I click the show me button. It shows me this is Brazil. Watch what happens if I get the wrong button. It asks for Chile. If I click the wrong button, I get a red light. Notice I get a red light. The timer stopped. It tells me I've clicked on Colombia. And so even when your students click the wrong button, they're still learning because they've learned that this is Colombia. Okay, the show me button, I use that. Okay, this is Chile. Okay, I know this is Colombia. I just clicked that. There's only 2 buttons left. This is Ecuador and this is Falkland Island. I did not beat the clock. I was 42 seconds over. Your students will not beat the clock the first time. You will not beat the clock the first time, but after 4 plays, you'll be able to beat the clock. And here's the other thing. I said there's only one prerequisite to be able to do the alphabet. The other item is that you should use a real mouse. The touchpad is going to slow you down. It's going to slow down your students. A real mouse. What does it cost? $10? Real mouse. That's first thing. If I'm the coach, I'm going to tell the golf player how to keep your head down. I'm going to tell the baseball little league kid, don't lay the bat on your shoulder, hold it out here. If you're a geography teacher, a geography coach, you need to tell the students the best way to learn the material, and that is to use a real mouse and also whisper as you click. Because notice I said there's two goals of this system. One is be able to recite the countries in 14 seconds or less. Second, be able to score 100% on the blank map of South America. And the only way you or your students can learn to recite is to whisper as you click. Even if you get the wrong button, for example, it asks for Argentina. You can look at the question up here and you can see where I click. Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile. Okay, I clicked the wrong button, but I'm still whispering. Chile, Chile, Chile. I'm looking for Chile. That was Colombia. Okay, show me, but okay, this is Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Falkland Islands. I did not beat the clock, but I'm better than I was the first time when it took 42 seconds over the time limit. Okay, I click the go button. I don't have time to look at the question. I know it's going to be Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Falkland Islands. So we race through that. We race through that, whispering as we click. Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Falkland Islands. And now we've cleared the first 11. We get 7 more questions. I click go. I can fly through the first 7 because I've done it 4 times. Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil. Whisper as we click. Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Falkland Islands. And now we have 7 more questions, but the process is still the same. When you click, it asks for French Guiana. When you click the correct button, you get a green light, the button disappears. The question changed to Guyana. If you click the wrong button, it says, no, this is Venezuela. If you go over 5 seconds, the show me button appears. And you're racing the clock, okay? It asks for Guyana. I just used the show me button. It's Guyana, Paraguay, Peru, Suriname, Uruguay, and Venezuela. It took me 4 times to learn that. 4 times at each level. I was 12 seconds over. We already know Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Falkland Islands. And after playing for about 4 times, we also know French Guiana, Guyana, Paraguay, Peru, Suriname, Uruguay, Venezuela. Using a real mouse, whispering as I click, I beat the clock. Okay? And now we go to afterwards, whether it's 14 questions in South America, whether it's 13 provinces of Canada, whether it's 31 states of Mexico, whether it's 50 states or the 50 countries of Europe or Africa. After you master all levels, 7, 14, 21, 28, then we go into random order. This reinforces what you have learned. I click the go button. In random order, we're still racing the clock, but when I click the correct button, I get a green light, the button disappears, the question changed to French Guiana. French Guiana. I have more time and it's in random order because I have to look at the question each time. Ecuador, I have to look at the question, Uruguay. So we give you more time when it's in random order. Venezuela, Guyana, this is French Guiana, this is Guyana. This is Bolivia, this is Falkland Islands, this is Peru. Again, if I get it wrong, it asks for Argentina. I get it wrong, I get a red light, and it tells me it's Colombia. The show me button works in random order. It asks for Argentina, Suriname, Paraguay, Brazil, and Colombia. I was 14 seconds over, so we play again over and over until we beat the clock. Click go. Whisper as you click. And you can watch the timer and see if I'm going to beat the clock or not. I've got 28 seconds to answer 14 questions. Venezuela, Uruguay, Guyana, French Guiana, Ecuador, Bolivia, Falkland Islands, Suriname, Colombia, Peru, Chile, Paraguay, Argentina, Brazil. And if you're looking at the clock, you can see I beat the clock by about 2 seconds. Okay? Once you've done that, we've done it in alphabetical order, 7 at a time. And now we went to random order, all the questions on the screen. And now we go to test mode. You, as a geography teacher, should be able to bring this mode up on your screen, show your students that you can get 100%. And if you can't get 100%, two things: either resign, find someone else that can teach these kids, find something you really care about, or use our system to learn. And let your students use our system to learn. Okay? We care so much about geography that we give these games, all 12 of those games that I showed you, we give them away free through the end of 2026, through the end of this year. And if you don't use it this year and you decide next year that it's important, it's not going to be free. It's not going to be free after December 31st of 2026. It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you such a tiny amount that you'll still want it. But I get so, okay. I did beat the clock in alphabetical order, 7:14. I beat the clock in random order, and now we're in test mode. The difference in test mode is we're not racing the clock. This tells how many we've answered. The show me button will not help you. We'll get a green light. French Guiana, watch it, get a green light. But the button does not disappear. When you're playing the game for the 50 states and it asks for Vermont and you get it, the button does not disappear. When it asks for Connecticut, all the buttons are still on the screen. It's not the process of elimination. You have to know where Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, you have to know where those are located. If you don't know where they're located, you shouldn't be a geography teacher. I'm serious. Okay, it asks for Uruguay. We're in test mode. I get a green light. Peru, it asks for Peru. It asks for Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, Chile, Falkland Islands, Venezuela, Bolivia, Suriname, Colombia. Okay, I have answered 12 so far. We're not racing the clock. I have time to think. Your students have time to think. You have time to think. But if you get one wrong, if you get any wrong, okay, it asks for Guyana, and I click, let's say I click Argentina by mistake. Watch what happens. I get a red light, and then it asks for Ecuador. I'm going to click that correctly, and watch what happens. My score is 92. It shows me I got this one wrong, and it's going to say to me, you are so close. Click the go button to try again. You can play over and over and over. This game is not a system where your students take the test and some of them get a high C, some of them get a B. One of your students get an A+. With this system, every student in your class should get an A+. Our goal is not, let's get all B's and some A's. The goal is every student gets an A. I'm going to click the go button and try again, okay? Quickly, I'm going to fly through this. Falkland Islands, the question at the top. Chile, Suriname, Colombia, Guyana, Brazil, Argentina. Whisper as you click. Ecuador. Use real mouse. Bolivia, Venezuela, Peru. I've answered 11 so far. Paraguay, French Guiana, Uruguay. And I get 100%. You should get 100%. Your students should get 100%. Okay? And when you get 100%, you can click this button and it gives you a certificate. It uploads a certificate to your computer, which you can print or save or whatever. Okay, another thing. 2 ways of exiting. I can exit by clicking this button, or any time in the system, I can click this button to exit. Let's say the bell rings. Everybody has to close their computers. Click this button, you exit. Okay. That is how easy it is to learn the countries of South America. 24 minutes is what we say. Okay, I gave you the example about the Geography Alliance coordinator who had to tell her geography teachers in a geography conference where the counties were of a state that has less than 20 counties. I would be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed if I'm the Geography Alliance coordinator and my teachers didn't know. Okay, I'll tell you another story. Let me get back to where I can kind of calm down about this. Okay. Another story with another. I think I told you about the geography majors who scored 21% on the blank map of South America. And after 15 minutes, their scores jumped to 100%. I told you that story. I want to tell you a story about another Geography Alliance coordinator. I went into this guy's office. We're talking. I'm telling him about our software and the importance. And we both agreed, yeah, geography is important. And we're talking about, things you talk about. He mentioned his son. He had a son who was in 8th grade. And I said, your son is probably the best student in the whole geography class. And this guy said to me with a straight face, he said, my son can find Egypt on a blank map of Africa. I would never admit that I'm a math teacher and my students and my son cannot add 7 and 4, 8 and 12, 25 and 10. I would never admit that. But this Geography Alliance coordinator admitted to me that his son could find Egypt on a blank map of Africa. I would be embarrassed. So I've told you about 2 Geography Alliance coordinators that I was discouraged by, because I believe if there was a job opening and if I was young enough and I could apply to be Geography Alliance coordinator of any state, I would jump at that chance. And I would be the best geography teacher in the state, and all of my teachers would be the best geography teachers in the state because of our software. It doesn't take a semester to learn the names and locations of the 50 states. It takes 1.5 hours, one evening. And then when your students get into class, first minute of class, you say, we're going to, in unison, recite the 50 states. And they will be able, and you can show them. You show them first, you can do it. Challenge them. You know how to inspire your students. You know how to motivate them. You know what gets them excited about things. You know your students. You went to your college 4 years to become a geographer, become a teacher. You know how to do these things. So now you get up and show your students that you can do it. We're talking about the 50 states. Is it working? Yeah. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Illinois, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming. 40 seconds. We beat the clock. The goal is 50 seconds. I'm going to show you where that game is located, because that also is free for the end of this year. And you, as a geography teacher, should be able to recite the 50 states in 50 seconds, score 100% on the blank map of the United States, if I have one of those in here. Yes. You should be able to score 100% on this. Let me bring you over to here first. I'm going to bring you to here first. You should be able to score 100% on this blank map of the United States. And we provide the maps. Not only do we provide the games for free, we provide the maps, okay, for free. Print them, use them, pre-test, post-test, progress report, and so forth. Where was I at? Okay. Now we're going to get into this scene. I'm just learning how to live stream. I have some younger friends, 30 years old, that are teaching me how to do this, as I'm trying to teach geography teachers how to be the best geography teacher you can be. So I'm going to get in and I'm going to go to, first of all, I'm going to collapse that. You go to clickandlearn.fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You click the fifth icon thumbnail over. I click that. And as before, these games show up. I scroll to the right all the way to the Pacific, South Pacific Island countries. All of these games are free through the end of 2026 for the next 6 months or whatever time you see this video. Okay. I'm going to click the thumbnail for the 50 states. I'm going to go right into, I'll tell you what, I got to back up. I have to back up because when you show your students about South America, you don't have to go through the whole process of 714 alphabetically random order test mode. I'm going to show you what you can do to impress your students. You go to that thumbnail, you switch to test mode. You don't have to go through learn mode. You switch to test mode, and all the buttons are on the screen. And it asks for Colombia. I'm going to fly through for this again. Colombia, Venezuela, Bolivia, Suriname. This is what you show your students. Falkland Islands. Whisper as you click. Paraguay, Peru, Argentina, Chile, Ecuador. You can give them clues. Colombia is connected to Panama. Ecuador is on the equator. Brazil is big. Venezuela is shaped like a V. Venezuela is shaped like a letter V. You can give them those clues. That's for Brazil. Guyana, this French Guiana, this Guyana. French Guiana, random order, Uruguay. And I got 100%. That's all you have to show your students. And then show your students that you can recite in 14 seconds Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Falkland Islands, French Guiana, Guyana, Paraguay, Peru, Suriname, Uruguay, and Venezuela. And you don't have to do it in 10 seconds. You want to show your students that they can beat you. So take 13 seconds to do it, and then challenge them to beat you. Challenge them. Give them some incentive. Give them some excitement in life. Okay, I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to go back in. Now we're going to go into United States. And as it starts out, you can play in learn mode. The process is the same. I'm not going to show you the process. I've already shown you the process. The process is the same where you're doing South America, Central America, provinces of Canada, states of Mexico, 50 states, Europe, Africa, Asia, and so forth. The learning process is the same. Review mode brings you into where all the questions are on the screen, and you do it alphabetically, just for practice while you're reciting, practice. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, and so forth. The buttons are disappearing. That is review mode. Very similar to learn mode, except in review mode, all the questions are on the screen. You can impress your students, but here's what I want you to do. I'm going to show you this. Show your students that you can get into the 50 states in test mode. Hold on. How do I mute this? I don't know how to do this yet. Show your students that you can do this. You click go. It asks for Vermont, Pennsylvania. You're in test mode. The buttons are not disappearing. Pennsylvania, California. This is only going to take me 2 minutes. New Jersey, South Carolina, Utah. All the clues you can give your students. Iowa, green lights, or Arizona. It asks for Indiana, Kentucky. If you're a geography teacher, Kentucky, and you can't do this, you should do one of two things. Kansas. Resign or use our system to learn to do this. It asks for North Carolina. It asks for Oklahoma. Green light, Nevada. There are clues you can give your students. South Dakota is in random order. Illinois, we're in test mode. Alaska. I'm whispering as I click. West Virginia, North Dakota. Let's do a few more. Arkansas, Oregon, Texas. Some are easy. Virginia. This is West Virginia. This is Virginia. Delaware. Michigan. Massachusetts. New Hampshire. Nebraska. It's asked for Nebraska. We're flying through this. Louisiana. Florida. New Mexico. Wisconsin. This is Wisconsin. Maine. This is Maine. I've got green lights on all of these. Mississippi. Wyoming. Ohio. Georgia. Connecticut. Minnesota. Maryland. Alabama. I've answered 42 so far. Colorado, 43. Washington, 44. Tennessee below Kentucky. New York. Idaho. Missouri. We've answered 48. Rhode Island. Montana. Okay. You just got 100%. Your students all watched you do that. They watched you recite the 50 states in 50 seconds. I'm going to exit here, or I could exit up here. And your students can play these games for free. You can play for free. The other thing I want to tell you at the very beginning is in this live stream, what I want to tell you is I believe you should be able to do all of the countries of Europe, Africa, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, South America, Central America, and the 50 states. I believe you'd also be able to do, well, you don't need to. I think it's important to know provinces of Canada and the 31 states of Mexico. But to be able to do Africa, Europe, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, 50 states, South America, Central America, that's a minimum I think a geography teacher should be able to do. Oh, and there's one more thing. Let me show you that. I learned how to mute this. Let me show you something I think that every third grade and up student should be able to do. Continents and oceans. This tells them the basics about the world. And, you know, honestly believe any kindergarten, first grader should be able to do this as well. We're teaching your kids about the world. I'm going to go into, just like before, here's how you collapse this, okay? You go to clickandlearn.fun. You click the thumbnail that says free geography games. I'm going to click on continents and oceans thumbnail. And I could go through learn mode and show you how we do 7 at a time. Africa, Antarctic, Asia, Australia, Europe, North America, South America, that's 7. And then we add the oceans, Arctic, Atlantic, Indian, Pacific, Southern Oceans for a total of 12. Or you could go right into review mode and do them all in alphabetical order. Let's do that real quick. Single player. I click the go button. In review mode, it's in alphabetical order for the continents and then in alphabetical order for the oceans. Africa, Antarctica, Asia, Australia, Europe, North America, South America. Oh, I'm racing the clock. Arctic, Atlantic, Indian, Pacific, Southern, and that's in review mode. Okay. I'm going to exit. And I'm going to take you can take your students right into test mode. I'm going to test mode. I click single player. Third grade and up should be able to do this. I click the go button. In random order, in test mode, it asks for Antarctica. Antarctica, whisper as you click. Southern Ocean, use a real mouse. Pacific Ocean, Asia, Australia. Green lights on all of these so far. Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, South America, Arctic Ocean, Africa, random order, Europe. I've answered 11 so far. North America, 100%. Exit from there, okay? That's a minimum. The minimum is continents and oceans. The reason we do South America first is because we can show the process quickly. And when a student can locate all of the countries and recite all the countries of an entire continent in 14 seconds, gives them a sense of pride. It lets them know they can do this. And when they go on to what we have as our third item in the list, and that's the 50 states, they already know the process. They already know they can do it. They already know they have to whisper as they click. They're racing the clock, 7 questions at a time, 14, 21, 28, and so forth. Alphabetical, random, test mode. And you can give them the blank map of the 50 states. Let me go back to here. Did I switch to the right area? Yeah, I did. And you give them blank maps. Those are free on our website. And they can score on that. They can score themselves. You don't even have to score them because they know if they got it right or wrong. With this system, they know if they got it right or wrong. And if they have to stay up till 10 o'clock at night learning because you got a test the next day, they can do that. And first of all, you know how students love to play. Kids love to learn love to play games. If they could, if their parents didn't yell at them to get off of the computer at 8 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, they would be playing some of these games until 4 in the morning. But when you tell them you'd like them to learn the 50 states, they don't have to do it in the classroom. They don't have to do it in the geography lab, which if you have any of those anymore, in the computer lab rather. They can do it at home. They can do it at the library. They can do it wherever they have a laptop, a computer, an iPad, a Chromebook, a tablet. The phone is too small because with a phone, it's hard to click Vermont and not accidentally tap New Hampshire. It's difficult to click Connecticut and not Rhode Island or Massachusetts. The bigger the item, such as a screen, the better. So I want to tell you another story. I was at a very reputable school district in, I won't even tell you the state. And the head of social studies, who might have been the head of curriculum, invited me in to give a presentation. And I think it was, how many teachers were there? They were all either geography teachers or social studies teachers. And I gave them a blank map of South America. Some of them had been teaching geography for years. Some of them had been teaching U.S. history for years. I gave them a blank map of South America and had them do the same thing that I did with with the geography majors in that university that I told you about. And the reason I'm not going to tell you what school district that was or even the state is because these geography teachers on that blank map of South America scored a whopping 44%. I tell you what, so I showed them how the software worked. They all had their Chromebooks. The whole class had a Chromebook, every teacher in there. They did not have mice with the Chromebook, so I brought 20 or 30 mice, and I attached a mouse to each one of their Chromebooks. I showed them how to play, and we were running out of time. I talked too much. It was my fault. We were down to 20 minutes left of it. I think I'd been given 2 hours. I think they used it for in-service hours. But I showed them how the software worked. They knew how to get to the game. And we only had, it was either 19 minutes or 15 minutes. And at the end of that time period, I got to tell you one cool thing. There was one cool thing. Of these teachers, I got them started. I said, if you have any questions, raise your hand. And they got started. And 3 minutes later, one of the guys raised his hand, and I went over and said, yeah, what do you need? He said, what do I do next? I said, what do you mean, what do you do next? He says, I finished that. I said, you finished the game for South America? He said, yeah, I get 100%. That was the way teachers should be. That was how it should be. I was impressed. Finally, I found a teacher, a geography teacher, who cared and could do it. So anyway, I gave them all the blank, I think it was how many ever minutes we gave them. And at the end of that time, I says, okay, time's up. I passed around the blank map of South America again. And after that short amount of time, those geography and history teachers went from a score of 44% to 94% on average for the entire group. I think there was, 15 or 20 teachers in there, I don't know. But that's how easy it was. That's how easy it was. The geography majors went from 21% to 100% after 15 minutes. These geography teachers went from 44% to 94% after maybe 19 minutes. I'm going to tell you something else. There's a family in Los Angeles who I visited with. The mother and dad have 2 sons. One is 14, one is 12. I won't tell you their names or anything about them, but I will tell you that they were interested in geography. They had traveled extensively around Europe. So they had a love for geography. They loved travel. But did they know how to find the countries of South America or any place in the world? Sure, they knew some states. I gave them the blank map of South America, and essentially they scored. One boy is 14, one boy is 12. Essentially, they scored 0. So I showed them how the software worked. They both had laptops with mice. I showed them how the software worked, and I said, okay, you got 24 minutes. These kids impressed me. They had never seen the software until I showed it to them. They had taken whatever geography classes were offered in their state, and I don't know if they even offered them in their state. But in less than 5 minutes, these boys were brothers. They encouraged each other as they were playing. It was fun to watch them play. I wish that I had it on video, because after less than 5 minutes, I gave them the blank map of South America, and both of those boys scored 100%. And then I just worked on timing them. And they couldn't do it at first. They couldn't do it in 14 seconds. And one of the guys said he had Peru before Paraguay alphabetically. And I corrected him on that. And that's my point. That's my point. That's my point. My point is it doesn't take a semester. It takes 3 hours at most to learn the names and locations of 50 states. And here's how I'm going to go into that again. I'm going to go back to this game about the 50 states. I've shown you South America. I've shown you continents and oceans. I've shown you the 50 states. There are, I wish I could show you what this button shows you, but when you click this button, it says Maps. It opens a new window on my screen, but I don't know how to show both of those on my screen at the same time. I need some practice, but I'm learning, okay? When you click that button that says Maps, when you click that, it shows you a list of all these blank maps that I've shown you. You can print all of those. It also shows you a list of all the countries of South America, a list of the 50 states, a list of the countries of Africa, Europe, Asia, and so forth. What I do when I'm learning, and I want you to do the same thing because I'm a good coach. I know how this works. You can do it. Your students can do it. What you do is you play the game, let's say 30 minutes, take a break, 30 minutes, take a break, 30 minutes, even if you have to do it over 2 days. But each night, you take the map that you've printed. No, you take the list of the states with you. And when you are, I don't know, waiting at the restaurant, when you are, I don't know, waiting to pick up your kids, when you've got a commercial on TV, mute the darn commercial and practice reciting from this list over and over until you can do it in 50 seconds. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado. And you're not going to be able to beat the clock the first time. But after a few times, when you get up in front of your students and you show them that you can do that, challenge them to do the same. I know I'm preaching to the choir now. If you're still with me after what? If you're still with me after, how do I even know? How do I even know how this thing works? If you're still with me, you care about geography. I hope you care about geography. And if you're still with me, you can do what I've shown you. 1 hour at most, 1 hour at most, 3 hours at most. You get into, let me take you into Central America. The same thing. I'm going to switch to test mode. Test mode. Click single player. Single player and go. We're in test mode. It asks for Costa Rica. Get a green light. Mexico. Some of these are not actually in Central America, but I used Mexico, Cuba for reference to know where these countries are located, are relating to the rest of the world. It asks for Haiti. Haiti is on the west side of the island. Dominican Republic is on the east side of that same island. It asks for El Salvador. This is El Salvador. It asks for Panama. It asks for Guatemala. GH, Guatemala, Honduras, alphabetically G, Guatemala. It asks for Jamaica. Jamaica. I met someone from Jamaica recently. Yes. And here's the other thing. Gosh, when you know countries of the world, you can talk to people from around the world. You can have respect for people from around the world. Nicaragua. This is GH, Nicaragua. Yeah, Nicaragua. Cuba, green light. Belize, green light. I've answered 10 so far. The last one is 11, Honduras. I click that button, I get a green light, I got 100%. Show your students you can do that. Exit. And Show your students that you can recite those 7 countries of Central America plus the 4. What do we have in our system for reference? Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, Cuba, Haiti, Jamaica, and Mexico. Show them you can do that in 11 seconds. Challenge them to do the same thing. And when class starts, take 11 seconds. They can recite it in unison. Take 50 seconds to recite the 50 states in unison. Tell them that they have free access to these games through the end of this year. Tell them they can go home and play. And when they go home and play, here's the other thing. When they are at home playing these games and their parents say, Johnny, turn that computer off. Don't be playing games. Johnny can tell them, Mrs. Wilson gave us this for homework. The kids are going to love you. And the parents are going to love you because the kids aren't just wasting their time playing these games where you're shooting everybody and all this stuff where you just, that drives me crazy. I've got a great nephew, and I tell him when you're playing these games where you shoot everybody, don't be shooting someone. Walk up to them and shake their hand. Walk up to them and say hello. And my great nephew says to me, I can't do that. They'll kill me. No, they're not going to kill you. You will be able to respawn. I think it's what it's called. Wait 10 seconds and you're back on the screen, or start over, whatever. You don't have to go around killing everybody. With our system, you play games, you play fun games, and you learn. What else was I going to tell you? What else was I going to show you? Okay, I've shown you everything about the first level of things you should know. Tomorrow, I'm going to tell you something else that I believe you should be able to do if you're going to be a geography teacher. And if you can't do what I show you tomorrow, you should do one of 2 things. If you're a geography alliance coordinator, can't do this. If you're the social studies specialist for your state and you can't do this, resign. Find something you can do. Let someone that cares about geography be a geography teacher. Either that or get in and learn. And here's the other thing, I'll help you. I will help you. I really care about this, and I want you to be the best. I want you to be the best geography teacher. And if you're a student watching this, I want you to be the best in your class. And when your teacher asks a question about geography, I want you to be able to answer to them. That teacher is going to say, after you answer all the questions about the 50 states or Central America or Africa, when the teacher asks you, how did you do that? And you tell them, you went to clickandlearn.fun and you played these games for free, and you can score 100% on the blank map of 50 states, Central America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Southeast Asia, the Middle East. And hopefully you as a student will make an impression on your teacher. And if you're like, 7, 8 years old and you can do this, even if you're 17 and you do this in high school and can do this, and none of the other students can do it, and your teacher can't even do it, and your geography teacher can't even do it. I tell you what, I was in 8th grade, and our teacher was telling us about, I don't know what the topic was, but she said that the term 4 square inches is the same as 4 inches square. This is a teacher, and I'm not trying to be ignorant, but we had a big, thick book in our classroom. It was called the Lincoln Library of Essential Information. And every time we had a study hall, I did not go to a one-room school, but in that classroom, we had the 8th graders and we had the seventh graders. And so sometimes the teacher was teaching the seventh graders, and I got that book from the shelf, the Lincoln Library of Essential Information. And I found that there is a difference between 4 square inches and 4 inches square. And I told the teacher, I brought that book up and I showed her. And she didn't say, go sit down. I actually had a teacher in second grade told me, go sit down. She did not like the fact that I could read the newspaper in the seventh grade. But this teacher told the class, just found something new. There's a difference. And I'm not talking about this because I haven't done that many times in my life. I kind of remember one time when I did that in my life. But you as a student, or even you as a parent, can go into your teacher and say, look what my son learned. Free, quickly. And here's another thing that's going around in the world today in the United States. We're talking about the danger of kids spending all their time on their phones or their Chromebooks or whatever. It's called too much screen time. Now imagine this. Imagine you or your students, just imagine your students can spend 24 minutes playing a game and learn all the countries of South America. And then when you teach them about South America, they absorb things you're telling them. Those 24 minutes are not a waste. The hour and a half that they spend learning the 50 states is not a waste of screen time. It's the best use of screen time anywhere. And when so the things I've told you are easy. South America, continents and oceans, Central America, the 50 states. The 50 states are easy because your students have heard of Massachusetts and Connecticut and Wyoming and Oregon. And when they take the blank map of the 50 states, we are not requiring that they know how to spell Massachusetts or Connecticut. We simply ask that they put an M on Massachusetts, a C on Connecticut, A on Alabama, C on California, W on Wyoming, U on, and so forth. Okay? It's not a waste of life for them to spend those 3 hours, hour and a half, whatever, learning the names and locations of 50 states, because then when you teach about U.S. history, social studies about the United States, social studies about your region of the United States, they absorb what you're telling them and they make the rest of what you're telling them easier for you. This system makes it easier for you as a geography teacher. I want to help you. If you have questions, I want to help you. You can email me let me put my email address on the screen. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this. Okay, it's going to be okay. I'm going to have that scroll across. I'm going to save that. I'm going to turn this one off. Where is the one I just added? Here it is. I'm going to show that. This is my email address. And I'm going to turn off the scrolling part. How do we do that? Turn off the scrolling part, and I'm going to just put that on the screen. If I can do this. Come on. I don't know how to do this. Okay, here we go. Does this work? Yes. There's my email address. clickandlearn@gmail.com. If you're a geography teacher, I want to help you. If you're a Geography Alliance coordinator, I want you to be the best in the state because I believe geography is important. So, how do we turn that off? So, okay. I did not know that would override that. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. And you can learn enough in seriously, seriously. I would love to be a geography teacher. If I could be, if I was younger, if I was your age, and if I had this software, I would apply to wherever I could be a geography teacher. I would apply to be a substitute teacher wherever I could find a job as a substitute teacher. And I would tell that principal, I would tell that superintendent that I could go in and instead of babysitting the kids in whatever class it is, instead of babysitting those kids, I could show them on the big screen what I can do. I can show them how it works. I can tell them how it works. I can tell them use a real mouse. I can tell them whisper as you click. And the parents would be impressed that their kids are excited about something that you are excited about. I'll tell you another story. I won't tell you the state this was in. It was just a small school. The principal cared about geography. And he had a geography teacher, someone that was in the role of being a geography teacher. And I showed the principal how the system worked. He said, show this to the geography teacher. I showed it to the geography teacher, South America. I said to him, I said, Mr. Whatever, I said, I can stay over this afternoon. I can stay over this weekend. I can spend a couple of days with you, and I can teach you how to do this. And you know what he said to me? He said, I don't have time. I've got the football team out there waiting for me. Seriously, seriously. I have the football team out there waiting for me. Now, I will tell you that his team did well. I did follow them. His team did well, but he could have taken 20 minutes, 24 minutes to learn the country of South America. He could have shown his students he could do it. He could have shown them that he could recite in 14 seconds. He could have shown them he could score 100% on test mode of that game. He could have shown them where they can play for free. And as a good coach, whether it's basketball, football, whatever, golf, I don't care. A teacher is essentially a coach because you want your students to succeed. You want your students to win the academic bowl or whatever. You want them to be the best. I really get into this. I've been on this video for an hour and looks like 20 minutes or so. And you've seen my email address. If you have any questions, and if you really care, we can do a Zoom or we can do a Google Meet. Google Meet is better for what I want to show you, but I can invite you. Send me an email. Tell me what you would like to learn about geography. And I'm not going to help you with learn the names of the capitals or the type of government or the president or prime minister or whatever, or their biggest import or export. I'm not going to, to me, that is not important. To me, that is trivia. But knowing the names and places of where people are from is not trivia. It is important to them. It is important to them. It shows respect for people from around the world. When I meet someone that does not look like me or has an accent or wears different clothes, and I'm talking to them, I don't know, maybe it's in the grocery store line behind me, or maybe it's at where one of my relatives is in the hospital and the nurse comes in. And I say, where are you from? And she says, I'm from Jamaica. We have a conversation. I show respect for those people, for anybody from any place in the world, because I am confident when I say, where are you from? And they say they are from Nepal, Bhutan, Bolivia, Bosnia. I am confident that I can say something nice to them about their country, even if I can just say, ah, yes, Bangladesh is right up there between, right in that where typhoons come in from the Indian Ocean. India is right across the water from them, and they at least know that I care. Social studies teachers are important. You have an important job. Your job, in my opinion, is to teach social studies for students to be sociable and students to know about the world and students to be able to be kind to people who do not look like them or might have a different religion. Here's the other thing. I'm going to tell you, I believe this is really important. If you have confidence in yourself, if you have confidence in yourself, if you think you're a good person, you should not have to step on somebody else to make yourself feel better. You should not have to deride somebody else for their religion or their race or their color or their clothing style or their language. If you have confidence in yourself, you should not have to step on other people to make yourself feel better. I believe everybody on earth is a miracle. I believe just the fact that when I have friends that have kids, and when these friends have kids, it's like they have done something miraculous. They have created a human being. And when I watch them, watch their kids grow, I see the joy in these parents' hearts that they have raised a human being. Because I believe that every human being is a miracle. The fact that we can see, the fact that we can hear, the fact that we can walk and think, and the fact that we can be nice to other people, hold the door for other people, say something nice to the person behind the counter, thank the clerk at the grocery store, thank them by name because usually they have a name tag on. I usually have a name tag on. I seriously do. Okay, I tell you what, I've been on here for almost an hour and 23 minutes. So we're going to end the stream, and we'll be back to show you more things that I believe you should know as a geography teacher. We'll be back to show you more things tomorrow. Okay? Okay. Thank you for watching. There's my email address. How do I change that back to my name? Here's my name. Not that that matters. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you become the best. That's what I care about. So I'm going to end the live stream. Thank you for watching. And I seriously care about you. I seriously care about you. I want you to do the best job you can. Okay? I'm 100%. Okay. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it.